What is up everyone, and welcome to another Super Smash Bros. Ultimate video. What you just saw is just an example of how busted Kazuyas Counter really is in the right hands. I'm going to be going over lots of examples in this video talking about how good Kazuyas Counter is and why it's so good. If you guys enjoy these types of videos, make sure to subscribe down below. We're almost at 1,100 subscribers, and if you guys want more Kazuya content and guide videos in the coming weeks, make sure to stick around. But without any further ado, let's talk about the basics of Kazuyas Counter. So you might be asking how Kazuyas Counter was able to kill Sephiroth at 0%. And just because Giga Flare usually it can kill at 0% on certain characters, but it usually won't kill, and it usually won't kill off of counter. The reason Kazuyas Counter can kill so easily and can reflect projectiles that will do tons more damage than normal is that his counter actually has a property that multiplies the damage done to the opponent by 2.4%. It also increases the knockback like a normal reflector would. So 2.4 is actually a lot compared to most reflectors, which will reflect 1.5%, when 2.4% is, as you can just tell by the numbers, is a lot more than usual. The reason this is important is because a normal Giga Flare that will hit Kazuya max charge will do around 30% damage, or will do around, like a normal just attack like that, 16%, it'll do almost 36% just based off the counter. So when Kazuya gets hit, he takes about 39% just from the weak hit. So if Kazuya reflected that, the opponent would take almost 70% just from the counter damage alone, which is a lot different than what most other counters are like, right? Most counters, like I said, they're like 47% damage. If you reflected that, as you can see, since it has the property of 2.4, I'll just show you the reflect again. As you can see, when you actually reflect it, your opponent will take a lot more damage than, say, if you reflected it with Fox, or if you reflected it with Mewtwo. The only thing about Kazuyas Counter that I do like, I will mention it now, is that it's slow. So you have to be able to predict your opponent, and you have to be able to use it correctly. But as you can see there, Kazuya took 134.4% damage and was instantly killed at 0%. That is the potential of Kazuyas Counter. And I'm going to be showing you guys a few more examples of why it works for Kazuya and also why it doesn't work. So another example of Kazuya's counter being really janky is when he reflects Rob's gyro. Normally, Rob's gyro, when it's reflected, will simply just bounce back and become a projectile that Kazuya can pick up instead of just like a normal like banana would, or a normal any type of item that's pick up like King K. Rool's crown, something like that is what Rob's counter when you counter Rob's gyro will normally be. The difference between Kazuya is that when he actually counters Rob's gyro, it becomes very strange, because as you can see, when Rob runs into it, if he runs into it fast enough, obviously depending on how long the Rob charges it for, it'll be different strengths, or it will last longer. But if Rob just does a normal one and Kazuya counters it and Rob runs into it, as you can see there, it does 13.8, but it also has a lot more hits done than normal. See, I'm gonna just shoot out a fully charged Rob gyro, and you'll see just what I mean. So Rob charges it, and Kazuya can reflect it, right? 6.0%. So it comes with the multiplier when you reflect it, so now it'll do 13%. But when a fully charged gyro is reflected, you can see it hit multiple times, and Rob takes 34.5% damage. It also has a lot more hits done than a normal reflected gyro would, which means that when Kazuya reflects Rob's gyro, you get some interesting properties. And also another thing about it is that it does not retain these properties when Kazuya actually picks it up. So if Kazuya reflects it and then tries to grab it, it won't have the effect of the 13.6. It'll just turn into a normal gyro again. It will not have the reflect damage, and it won't have the hits done. Rob's also can be reflected when you actually use the gyro on stage. It can actually be reflected multiple times. So if Rob charges up neutral gyro, shoots it onto the stage, and then Kazuya reflects it, Rob cannot come up and reflect it. He can reflect it again with the side B. This does not add another multiplier onto it. As you can see, when you actually reflect Rob's gyro a second time, it just goes back to the normal reflector. It will not have the properties that Kazuya had on it. As you can see, normal gyro charge does not have any hits done, but when Rob does the actual counter into it, it will not carry the hits done over from what Kazuya did. So as you can see, when I pick it up and throw it again at Rob, it just does the normal 9.3%. It doesn't hold any sort of special properties once you actually get rid of it off of the ground after Kazuya has countered it. So the last point I want to make in this video is that I know the title of the video is that Kazuya's counter is busted, it's crazy, it can kill at 0%, and in certain situations that it can. It is really good. I would say it's one of the better counters in the game, but the problem I have with it is that, like I said before, it's really slow. So you have to kind of read your opponent a lot of times. Something I like to use, especially in the matchup against Sephiroth, because if you haven't seen the clip that I'll show, I'll see if I can find it. I might not be able to, but there's a you can kill Kazuya. Kazuya can kill Sephiroth at 0% when Sephiroth uses his counter, and you can reflect a certain hitbox of the counter, and it will kind of doubly reflect from the counter back onto Kazuya's reflector, and it will reflect twice, which means you can do like 100% just like the Giga Flare, but off of Sephiroth's counter. So a lot of times Sephiroths are very wary of that fact, so they don't like to use counter. So you can kind of just use plain Kazuya as a kind of neutral tool to pressure your opponent into not using counter, which means in that matchup you don't really have to go for the counter kill. You can just use that to your advantage to make sure that you know that your opponent is never going to counter, and then punish them for not using their counter. Right, so a lot of times Kazuya's Reflector is more useful in pressure situations than it is actually reflecting anything, because a lot of times, just like most other counters that don't last, since it is an input counter, it's slow, and against moves like T-Jolt where you can just spam it, and when one's coming there's going to be another, or Mario's Fireball, reflecting one won't really matter because you're just going to get hit by the next, and they're usually firing it from the air, which means your reflect is probably not going to hit them anyways. So a lot of the times Kazuya's counter is pretty useless against fast, quick moving projectiles. But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like down below. If you guys have any questions about Kazuya's counter, or if you guys think it's actually good, make sure to leave that down in the comments down below. But if you guys enjoyed this video, I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you guys next time.